Good evening and welcome to a special edition of RNN Live. Tonight, we take you behind the walls of Sing Sing. At a maximum security facility known as one of our nation's toughest, comes a story of achievement and, yes, even possibly redemption. A small group of inmates in the most adverse of circumstances last week received their college degrees, and I was there. I will give you an exclusive look at the most amazing graduation that I've ever witnessed. You'll hear from the inmates, both past and present. You'll hear from their teachers, their sponsors, and even their warden. We go inside Sing Sing prison for a graduation ceremony I'm promising you unlike anything you've ever seen before. Last week I went inside Sing Sing prison in Hudson, New York, and I met an amazing group of men. These men are convicted murderers and robbers. Yet through a very unique program, they've been given a second chance on life. For the past few years, they've been completing college coursework that wasn't paid for with a single cent of taxpayer money. Between private contributions from Hudson Link and efforts on the part of Mercy College educators, 20 inmates are now college graduates. It's an ominous sight. Beyond 12-foot thick walls and 42-foot guard towers surrounded by razor wire lies Sing Sing Prison, the maximum security facility in Hudson, New York. It's home to some of the area's most hardened criminals and violent offenders. But last week, the prison also became hope to a group of new college graduates and to some, a home to hope. Actor Ossie Davis, who delivered the commencement address, called the graduates his sons and spoke like a proud father.
You're almost on the verge of seeing an old man cry. I am deeply touched, happy beyond the telling of it, to be in your presence this morning.
20 inmates received diplomas last Wednesday, men who had been convicted of murder, manslaughter, robbery, and weapon possessions. But on that day, they beamed with the pride of any new graduate as their professors and family honored the occasion. Much of their appreciation stems from the fact that this day almost wasn't possible. Federal and state funding that helped to provide college education at New York State prisons ended in 1995. Then entered Hudson Link, a nonprofit group whose mission is to provide higher learning for inmates. Hudson Link teamed up with Mercy College and was able to reestablish the program in 1998, providing courses for 74 Sing Sing inmates. And prisoners are turning down opportunities to transfer to less secure facilities just in order to continue their education.
Due to cell space limitations, I was told that all 32 inmates could not remain at Sing Sing. I therefore recommend that the 16 be allowed to remain since they were the closest to earning their degrees. When the commission reviewed the situation, he personally gave orders that all 32 inmates were to stay at Sing Sing, and that if any of them had been transferred out, they were to be returned to Sing Sing to complete their education. In the end,
Valedictorian Nigel Lawrence has been incarcerated since 1994 after being convicted of second-degree murder.
Education has changed our world. Perhaps at first, your puzzled stares acknowledged that the movements of my hands were clear, but certainly not clearly understood. In fact, it was not until the second time, when translation was made from sign to spoken language, that we were all able to fully share in the deep sentiments of the hearts of 20 men here today. Dr. Reisner and Dr. Lipovsky, like you, we are now certified believers in the transformative power of education.
Statistics show that inmates who receive their college degrees are less likely to end up back in prison once they're released. And those who run this unique program say that's part of the power of education.
There was an ancient legend that God created the world 2 times. The first time, nothing worked. The world imploded upon itself. God decided to try again. On the second try, God included something that was omitted the first time, the principle of change.
Mark Wallace was convicted of robbery and is serving 15 years to life at Sing Sing. But when I met with him last Wednesday, he didn't dwell on a past of mistakes and anger. He's looking ahead to a future of opportunity.
Some people come to prison, they tell them that, you know, they're in this thug mentality, some of these guys around here, and they give off the wrong perception of what prison is about or that they're doing well. I've always told my family and my nephews and my son that I'm quote unquote living in hell. This is not a pretty place, this is not a place to be. You know, that's pretty much why certain guys won't get into school, because they're like, you know, once and for all, I'm in jail, I have a felony, that's not going to help me. But they don't realize that, you know, I try to tell them that this can be a catalyst. This can be a springboard. It's not your environment where you're at, it's what you do with yourself. It's not, the measure of a man is not how far he's fallen or the mistakes he's made, but his integrity and how you stand back up and, you know, you take responsibility and account for the things you've done and you make it better.
We have been taking you inside the college graduation at Sing Sing Prison. It was held last week. And one of the most memorable moments of the ceremony was a speech given by the commissioner of the correctional facility, a man who clearly supports the strength of a good education.
The inmates who enrolled in the college made a decision to change, to become educated. No one forced them to enroll, and no one promised them anything. They demonstrated their personal commitment. Add to that the Hudson link and the Mercy College resources that were made available, and the fact that they found themselves in the right place at the right time, and they moved on. I'd like to consider that Sing Sing is the right place at the right time. They don't have fraternity beer parties, and they don't sit in the student union talking to co-eds. They don't stay up all night talking philosophy. These inmates get to study in small cells, surrounded by noise and distractions. Wherever they go, they are counted, sometimes searched, always watched. The inmates who stand before you, as I say, they are here for a reason, but they know why they're in prison. They also know that they cannot change the past. What they can change is the future. A college program inside a prison offers hope to anybody willing to change. It also attracts a type of inmate who does not get into trouble, who is willing to help other inmates and the prison administration, and who often become leaders inside the inmate population. They're role models. They also lead better individuals than when they came in. I consider it an honor to have the graduation here and to have each of you complete your education. I really think that you've done more than your share by commitment and energy, and I, for one, respect you for it. Thank you.
Now, my next interview is with someone who's not only graduated from the program, but graduated to the outside world. Sean Pico was convicted of killing his girlfriend's father, and he credits the Hudson Link program with giving him a second chance at a new life.
I was just a confused teenager. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was very, I had a big attitude. I was upset about being in prison itself, not really why I had gotten there. And it took me a long time to come to terms with who I was and why I was in the position I was in. When the college program did come back in 2000, I was part of the first graduating class to get my bachelor's degree in 2000. And I did go on to get my master's degree before I went home in 2002. Today, the person you see is a very different person than the one that got arrested 18 years ago. I'm now working on my second graduate degree at Hunter College, and I just feel like I speak out every chance I can about the benefits of education and about the work that Hudson Link does. And that a guy would give up his lower security classification to go to a max security prison just in the hope of maybe getting on the waiting list for a college program is saying a lot. I mean, you wait years and years just to get your classification dropped finally to get to a medium facility. So to give that up to go back, I mean, it just says volumes about the importance of education here to the men, as well as to what it will translate into when they do go home.
Many people were responsible for creating a program that could provide the inmates at Sing Sing with the opportunity to earn their degrees. Now, these administrators and educators travel beyond the walls of the maximum security facility every week to work with these convicted felons. Now, last Wednesday, they proudly watched the outcome of all their efforts.
Going all the way back to the 1980s, when there was federal funding and state funding for the program, Mercy was in many of the prisons in New York State. And it has always been a very rewarding program. I know faculty have always enjoyed very much coming to teach, even though there's a lot of inconvenience involved in getting here and going through the, the metal detectors and getting on the van to get to the classroom. Even with all of that, they have found the students to be so sincere and so grateful for what Mercy was providing.
I'm sure some folks at home say, oh, well, a degree that you'll get from the walls of Sing Sing, it probably doesn't have the same academic rigors that you would if you went to another campus. Is it the same curriculum?
Absolutely the same curriculum. Everything is the same. And honestly speaking, many of the professors have shared with me that the papers that are written on this campus, the work that is produced by these students is as good or better. And I think hearing Nigel's valedictorian speech is certainly a testament to the kind of work that's done here.
Why did you decide to spend a lot of your time with a lot of guys that a lot of society says, who cares?
That's the main question. Are these guys worth the investment of time, money, programs, whatever? And the answer to that, for me personally, gets at the root of education. What is education for? To turn some lights on. And if you believe, like I do, that there's always hope. I wouldn't say that every person should go for a college education that's in this prison, but for the men who have matured, who have some idea about returning to society, repaying back, that whole idea, that is just so, I don't know, being a part of that effort is very important to me.
I want to share some of my final thoughts. Now, I'm more than aware that Sing Sing is a hard place for bad men. I also know many will leave just as bad, if not worse, than when their cell door closed for the first time behind them. But only the naive defeatist says, lock them up and throw away the key. The realist knows that one day 19 out of every 20 inmates in there will go home. And what will they go home as? Violent survivors of a place of nightmares? Without a skill or a clue on succeeding behind those walls. Or maybe, just maybe, as you saw tonight, they could go home as something more. These graduates put themselves in Sing Sing, but against great odds, plan to make something of themselves outside of it. The figures seem to say they've got a chance. The rate of recidivism for graduates is a fraction compared to non-grads. When all the politically popular talk of getting tough on crime cut funding for these programs, somebody, as we know, had to fill the breach. That somebody is Hudson Link and Mercy College. Now, if you know anything about Mercy, you know that they're not self-promoters, but they should be. Hudson Link are the givers of hope and the benefactors to a group that frankly hadn't earned many gifts. Both groups could use your help. And we've linked their websites to ours and put their address before you. Now, I don't know if I actually changed any minds here tonight, or more specifically the grads did, but my mind was changed when I left Sing Sing. Redemption, I think, is possible. It's hard work, and it has to be earned. But people can change.